Hello viewers, 4DIYers here with another video for everyone. In this particular video here, I'll be showing you how to remove the steering knuckle on a 3rd generation 4-wheel drive Dodge Ram. This particular truck I am working with here today is a 2006 1500 model. First, start by safely elevating the front of the truck. Loosen and remove the 22mm lug nuts. Here I'm using my OEM Tools 24481 half-inch drive 20-volt lithium-ion impact driver from Mobile Distributor Supply. This impact driver has a clean ergonomic design, comes neatly packed in a plastic case along with a charging station, and includes a built-in current battery charge LED indicator. A link to this will be included in the video description. Remove the wheel and pop out that center cap. Reinstall the wheel and tighten those lug nuts. These don't need to be torqued. Lower the wheel back onto the ground. This is by far the easiest way for loosening the half-shaft axle nut. Using a 35mm socket with a Johnson bar, loosen that axle nut. Next is jacking up the wheel and then removing it. Use a jack stand as a safety. Crack the master cylinder reservoir cap loose to relieve any pressure when compressing those caliper pistons. Use a 22mm socket with a half-inch drive ratchet to loosen and remove those caliper carrier bolts. Compress the pistons in the caliper using large interlocking pliers. Finally, remove the caliper, pad, and carrier assembly. Tie it up to the frame so it's not hanging by the rubber flex line. After that is removing the rotor. Place it somewhere safe where it doesn't come in contact with any oil or grease. If your ball joints and tie rod is equipped with castle nuts, you will need to remove the cotter pins. They may also be equipped with stover nuts, therefore there is no pins required to be removed. Remove the tie rod. The tie rod is newer, so they won't be getting replaced. The nut was made flush with a stud, and it was hit with a hammer to disconnect it on the taper. Then place it off to the side. Remove that half-shaft axle nut. If the spline is stuck into place, you can use a lead or brass hammer to help break it free. Lead or brass won't damage the end of the axle shaft. Remove the nut from the upper ball joint. A pickle fork or ball joint separator can be used to help break this connection free. You may also be able to use a hammer to hit it upward on the threaded stud. Keep in mind this is under tension, so it will spring back. I had to make the extension arms for my ball joint separator as it wasn't large enough for the lower ball joint. A tool is available for this, however, at the time of disassembly, it was on back order quite a few months. Once disconnected, then remove the steering knuckle and disconnect the spline for the half shaft. Use a strap to hold the axle in place so it doesn't come apart. As for reassembly, the spline is slid into place in the wheel bearing assembly. The steering knuckle is then lifted into place on the lower ball joint and then install that castle nut. I jacked up the lower control arm to put some tension on the suspension so it's easier to install the upper control arm. Medium grade thread locker is applied to the half shaft axle nut portion, and then the nut is installed. Use a pry bar to pull down the upper control arm. The coil spring was used as a leverage point. Once it's in place, install that castle nut. Then is installing the tie rod. Tighten the upper ball joint. The upper ball joint torque specification is 40 foot-pounds or 54 Newton-meters. Tighten the tie rod. The tie rod torque specification is 45 foot-pounds or 61 Newton-meters. Finally, tighten the lower ball joint. The lower ball joint torque specification is 38 foot-pounds or 52 Newton-meters. When working with castle nuts, make sure those slots are aligned with the hole in the threaded shaft. This can only be done by tightening that nut. Do not loosen it. Install the cotter pin and then bend over the ends. The rotor is then reinstalled. A wire brush is used to clean off any rust or debris on the back side so we don't have any chance of run out. If you have old hubs, a wire brush is recommended to be used here as well. Install the caliper assembly. The torque specification for the caliper carrier bolts is 130 foot-pounds or 176 Newton-meters. Install the wheel. You may need to clean the hub mounting face on the wheel to ensure there's no run out as well. Considering these are aluminum wheels, I would recommend using a brass wire brush. The torque specifications for the lug nuts is 135 foot-pounds or 183 Newton meters. Finally is tightening that half-shaft axle nut. The half-shaft axle nut torque specification is 185 foot-pounds or 250 Newton meters. Reinstall that center cap and you're officially done. New videos are released every week on my channel. Be sure to hit that thumbs up button. It's a huge help to me, and leave a comment below if you found this tutorial helpful. If you're not a subscriber, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Thank you for watching.